Basic level seen in one-point perspective. In the previous videos we saw the basics of perspective drawing and how by using one single vanishing point we could already achieve the effect of perspective in a drawing. We also learned that in one-point perspective only the length foreshortened, while the height and width lines remain parallel and were drawn as vertical and horizontal lines. Today, we are going to see how by following the same principle, we can draw this basic scene in one-point perspective. Choose the eye level. As always, we must start by choosing our height in the scene by setting the eye level on the paper. The illustration I'm about to draw is a scene of the Temple of Divella from the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and I will be using this image as reference. For my purpose, I want to make the temple look a lot bigger than the one we see in the reference. In this image, the eye level is somewhere around here, so in order to make the place look much bigger, I'm going to choose a lower eye level. By drawing a low eye level, I will make the viewers feel short in comparison to the great height of the ceilings, making them understand that the building is actually huge. Sense of depth. Another way to make the space look bigger is by setting the back wall very far away. Knowing that the eye level is the place where my eyes are at all times, it means I am going to be this tall inside the scene no matter where I stand. If I was to walk all the way to the door at the end, my head will remain always at the same height, and when standing next to the door's arc and comparing our sizes, the door will look very big and magnificent. It is important to think as if we are inside the scene at all times, and use this information to draw the objects around us in a proportional human scale. Transferring symmetry. This temple has a very symmetrical layout, with similar objects repeating along both walls. To replicate an object and mirror it in front of it, we will simply extend the height lines. The point where they cut the opposite wall will mark the position of the base. Since we are still in a basic level, we shouldn't worry too much about transferring the real width, so I will just eyeball it for now. We will learn measuring methods in the intermediate level of the course, that will be published from 2016. Again, we continue mirroring boxes and estimating the height of things by comparing them to our human height in the scene, to make the feel of the image more realistic. I keep drawing horizontal lines from one side to the other to make sure that the columns are the same length and height. And I am also outlining the boxes in a new layer to clean up the document and have a better sense of what is going on. Tilted planes. Here I'm trying to make the arc of the door a little tilted, like the one in the foreground, but for simplicity's sake, I'm eyeballing it again. We will also see how to draw tilted planes when we get to the intermediate level of the course. Adding complexity. Now I am extending the walls into the vaults to the right, to create an even greater feel of amplitude in the room. I have also decided to increase the size of the central ritual shrine. To make the stairs, I am taking advantage of the simplicity of one-point perspective. Since the size of the stairs is facing me, I can simply draw the profile of the steps in a plane by using vertical and horizontal lines. Then, I will simply foreshorten each corner to the vanishing point, and I get the correct perspective for each step. Notice how the steps that are below the eye level, and hence below us, their top face is visible, but as the steps get higher, we stop seeing the top because it gets covered by the front face of the steps. Transferring foreshortened scale. At this point I wanted to duplicate this box, that's going to be a lantern, and put it against the middle column on the left. One might think that to do this we can just foreshorten the height and drawing the box, You must be very careful not to do this. It is a bad mistake. It might seem like the height fits nicely, but if you then extend the edge that it's in contact with the floor, you will see that to be right, the lines would have to look like this. If we see it from the top, we will see that this lantern is not in line with the other one, but in a diagonal. To copy it correctly, we will have to transfer the height as if we were playing chess. First to the front, then to the left. And so, now that we have done the right way, we can see that the other measure was way out of place. I am now going to repeat the same thing a few times, to populate the room with more lanterns and some extra chairs. Finding the center. To set the ceiling lamp on top of the shrine, I must first find the center of it. And what better way to do it than simply drawing two diagonals from corner to corner. The resulting point will be the center, and now I can simply move it up to find the center of the lamp. I am also transferring the size of the lamp's container box up, finding this way the volume of the lamp. Finally, I notice that the lamp has a conical shape. To find the tip of the cone, I am going to extend one of the corners to the center line and find the ending point, and then I can just join the rest of the corners with this pyramid tip. After adding a few more containers, I feel that the composition is done. The perspective is correct, and the room looks big like a cathedral, just as I hoped. I think it is time then to add the details and finish the work. Coming up next. In the next video we will learn how, when adding a second vanishing point to the eye level, we can draw rotated objects, obtaining two-point perspective. See you then! Stay tuned for our next tutorials.